He was called the King of Cool, the man whose stillness could burn through the screen and whose slightest smirk could command attention. But behind Steve McQueen's iconic image was a fire that never stopped raging. It wasn't just ambition that drove him, it was rivalry. To McQueen, competition wasn't something to be avoided. It was oxygen. It was his weapon, his curse, and the force that shaped both his career and his downfall. These are the 6 greatest rivalries that define Steve McQueen's life, 6 battles that reveal not the legend we remember, but the man beneath the sunglasses. That if this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. 1. Paul Newman, the rival who reflected McQueen's insecurities. The 1960s in Hollywood were ruled by 2 men, Paul Newman and Steve McQueen. They were opposites in every sense. Newman, the classically trained actor with an activist's heart and an easy charm. McQueen, the former delinquent who clawed his way out of reform schools and motorcycle races to become a superstar. Their rivalry began quietly, but it would simmer for years. When producers were casting Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1968, both men wanted the film. McQueen wanted the role of Butch, the leader, the smarter one, but his ego couldn't accept sharing equal billing with Newman. Negotiations collapsed because of a single line in the contract, whose name would appear first. McQueen demanded top billing. Newman refused to budge. The movie went on without him, and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid became a classic, cementing Newman's legacy while McQueen could only watch from the sidelines. Years later, they faced off again in the towering Inferno 1974. McQueen was determined not to be outshone a second time. He scrutinized every line of dialogue, every frame of screen time, even the size of the letters on the movie poster. In the final design, their names appear at opposite corners, Newman's first from the left, McQueen's first from the right, a visual stalemate that reflected their uneasy truce. Behind the scenes, McQueen obsessed over Newman's perfection. Newman was generous, political, and adored. McQueen was private, paranoid, and haunted. He had what I wanted, McQueen reportedly said, a life that looked calm. But that calm was something McQueen could never live with. His rivalry with Newman was never just professional, it was personal, a mirror he could neither look away from nor live without. 2. Yul Brynner, the Battle of Egos on the Magnificent Seven. By 1960, McQueen had a reputation as the hungry newcomer. When he joined the Magnificent Seven, Yul Brynner was already an Oscar-winning star, commanding and confident. But McQueen wasn't there to play second fiddle. During filming, he began a subtle campaign to steal every scene he was in. When Brynner spoke, McQueen fidgeted with his hat, adjusted his gun belt, or kicked up dust, tiny movements that drew the audience's eyes toward him and away from Brynner. Brynner was furious. He demanded McQueen stop upstaging him. McQueen refused. Every time I looked at him, Brynner later complained, he was doing something that made me look like a fool. Their feud escalated on and off the set. McQueen mocked Brynner's bald head, even tossing pebbles onto the ground before takes to throw off his co-star's concentration. Brynner retaliated by using his power as lead actor to delay McQueen's shots and cut into his close-ups. When the film premiered, critics and audiences agreed on one thing: McQueen, the unknown cowboy, had stolen the movie from the star. Brynner never forgave him. But for McQueen, it was the victory that confirmed what he already believed. In Hollywood, dominance wasn't given, it was taken. 3. James Garner, the neighbor who saw through him. James Garner, the charming and down-to-earth star of the Rockford Files, was everything McQueen wasn't. Relaxed, humble, and content. The 2 men lived next door to each other in the Hollywood Hills during the 1960s, and at first they got along. They shared a love of racing and cars, but it didn't take long for the friendship to sour. McQueen's competitiveness didn't stop when the cameras did. He envied Garner's natural charm and the ease with which people loved him. Garner once recalled McQueen bragging about how much more he earned per film, how many more vehicles he owned, and how many scripts were waiting for him. He needed to prove something every day, Garner said, and he never stopped keeping score. The final straw came during a dinner party. Garner teased McQueen about his habit of bragging, a harmless joke, he thought. McQueen's smile vanished. The next day, McQueen accused Garner of mocking him publicly and cut him off completely. When Garner's memoir, The Garner Files, came out years later, he summed up the friendship in one line: "Steve wasn't evil, he was damaged. I felt sorry for him." Garner's insight cut deep. For all of McQueen's swagger, people like Garner saw through the armor to a man terrified of being ordinary. 4. Faye Dunaway, the woman who refused to play his game. When McQueen met Faye Dunaway on the set of The Thomas Crown Affair, 1968, sparks flew, but not the kind anyone expected. Dunaway was young, beautiful, and fiercely independent. McQueen, used to dominating both on-screen and off, found himself drawn to someone he couldn't control. Their chemistry on-screen was undeniable, a sensual chess match of intellect and power. But off-screen, they clashed constantly. McQueen wanted Dunaway to bend to his rhythms, to rehearse the way he did, to share his process. Dunaway refused. He was threatened by her strength, director Norman Jewison later said. In one infamous story, McQueen reportedly ate raw garlic before their love scenes, deliberately trying to throw her off. Dunaway retaliated by refusing to talk to him between takes. Jewison would later describe the set as electric but icy. They had a tension that made the movie great, but made the days long. Years later, Dunaway spoke of McQueen with reluctant admiration. "He had an intensity I've never seen again," she said, "but he carried his pain like a weapon." Their rivalry wasn't about fame or billing. It was about control, and McQueen lost that battle. Dunaway didn't just match him, she exposed him. In her presence, the king of cool was suddenly human. 5. Robert Vaughn, the intellectual challenger. During The Magnificent Seven, McQueen's conflict with Yul Brynner was loud and visible. His feud with co-star Robert Vaughn was quieter, but in some ways more personal. Vaughn was educated, articulate, and politically active. He read philosophy between takes. McQueen couldn't stand it. "He made me feel dumb," McQueen once admitted privately. Vaughn later said McQueen's insecurity showed itself in small, cutting ways, silent glares, sarcastic remarks, and competitive stunts. One day, Vaughn watched McQueen repeat a simple gun-twirling move over and over. When he offered a friendly suggestion, McQueen snapped, "You think you're better than me?" Vaughn realized that behind McQueen's cool exterior was a man at war with his own image. After The Magnificent Seven, Vaughn went on to star in The Man from UNCLE, gaining international fame. McQueen, who prided himself on being the lone wolf, refused to congratulate him. The jealousy never truly faded. Yet years later, after McQueen's death, Vaughn spoke kindly of him. "He was fragile," he said. "All that toughness was a disguise." It was perhaps the most accurate portrait anyone ever gave of Steve McQueen, the man who could outrun everyone but himself. 6. Charles Bronson, the brother-turned-rival. The final and fiercest of McQueen's rivalries was with Charles Bronson, his co-star in both The Magnificent Seven and The Great Escape, 1963. At first, they shared a kind of brotherhood, two men from rough upbringings who found their way to Hollywood through grit and survival instincts. But on set, that bond crumbled. Bronson resented McQueen's showmanship. McQueen resented Bronson's quiet intensity. Each saw in the other a reflection of what he feared most, being outshined by someone who came from the same dirt. During The Great Escape, McQueen grew angry that Bronson's scenes were getting laughs and applause at test screenings. He demanded rewrites and even walked off set for weeks until his role, and especially the motorcycle escape, was expanded. Director John Sturges eventually gave in, crafting the legendary chase that became McQueen's signature. Bronson never forgave him. Years later, when both men were major stars, Bronson allegedly told friends, "McQueen was always looking over his shoulder. I never had to." That line, more than any other, captured their difference. Bronson found peace in his strength. McQueen found torment in his success. Epilogue: The Price of Rivalry. By the late 1970s, McQueen's life had slowed down. The cars, the women, the fame, all of it had lost its shine. Diagnosed with mesothelioma, a cancer linked to asbestos exposure from his racing suits, he faced the one battle he couldn't win. He spent his final years reflecting, reading, and searching for calm. Some friends said he regretted how much of his life had been spent proving himself to others. Others said he finally made peace with who he was, a man driven by fire, but ultimately consumed by it. Before he died in 1980, McQueen confided to a close friend, "I spent my whole life chasing something. I'm just not sure what it was. Maybe it was Newman's grace. Maybe Brenner's confidence. Maybe Dunaway's independence. Or maybe, all along, it was the simple freedom of being enough." Legacy, the myth, and the man. Steve McQueen's Rivalries didn't destroy his legacy, they built it. Every glare, every silent contest for dominance, every scene he fought to control made him unforgettable. He wasn't the most trained actor, nor the most eloquent, but he understood something fundamental. Audiences don't remember lines, they remember presence. That presence came from tension, the need to prove, to dominate, to survive. It was what made his performances burn with authenticity. But it was also what left him isolated, mistrustful, and alone at the end. In the end, McQueen's story isn't just about feuds. It's about the cost of greatness. The king of cool didn't hate others because he wanted to. He did it because he couldn't afford not to. For Steve McQueen, rivalry wasn't weakness. It was the only language he knew. If you've ever wondered what it truly costs to be the best, to always be faster, tougher, cooler, look no further than Steve McQueen. His rivals may have fought him, feared him, even hated him, but they also helped shape the legend that endures long after them all. And maybe that's the greatest irony of all. Every man he resented became part of his story. Every feud, every challenge, every moment of envy, it all led to one truth.